Do you hear that? Lyra's voice barely rose above the hum of the distant machinery. Her golden eyes scanned the darkness beyond the hull's reinforced glass. No, replied Kael, his jaw tight, fingers drumming against the console. Just static. You're imagining things. Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. I'm not imagining. Something's out there. The ship trembled, a low, deep vibration that rattled the steel floor. Lights flickered, then steadied. The team exchanged glances. Fear was not absent. It was sharpened, like a blade pressed to the throat of reason. But humans were never quiet in fear. They adapted, calculated, and, if necessary, laughed at death. Stand down, Kael muttered. We've got 30 minutes to scan the perimeter. After that, the containment breach goes live. Lyra's eyes narrowed. 30 minutes or 30 seconds? Kael smirked. The edge of humor cut through tension like a knife. 30 minutes, and that's generous. Don't worry. We always make it. A sudden metallic shriek split the air coming from the far end of the docking bay. Machines groaned in protest. The crew froze. In that heartbeat, the vast emptiness outside the ship felt alive, watching. Humans were alone here, yes, but they were not defenseless. And neither were they naive. Somewhere beyond the hull, alien eyes flickered. Alien minds calculating, underestimating them as always. Lira adjusted her stance, her boots clicking sharply against steel. They think Survival 101 is going to kill us. Kael's smirk widened. They'll be disappointed. The silence that followed was suffocating. Every heartbeat felt amplified. The stars beyond the viewport glittered like distant warnings. Kai, the youngest of the crew, whispered, "Why do they want us dead?" Kael shook his head. "Not want, kid. They think we can't survive. That's their mistake." A vibration ran through the floor again, this time stronger, as if the ship's hull was breathing, alive with a predatory patience. Lyra's hand hovered over the comm panel. She knew reporting this was pointless. Their enemies were listening, always listening, and any hint of hesitation was an advantage. "Check the sensors," Kael ordered. "Scan for movement, heat, anything." The screen flickered. A shape blinked into existence, a shadow, larger than any human, its form shifting like liquid metal. The crew froze. "They've adapted," whispered Lira. Kael's eyes glimmered, not with fear but with exhilaration. "Good, so have we." Time contracted. Every second brought them closer to the unknown, closer to the edge where most species would surrender. Most species would have already failed. But humans thrived in failure. They calculated, improvised, survived. The shadow moved again, faster now, impossible yet undeniable. A low rumble echoed through the hull. The ship's lights dimmed under the pressure of some unseen weight. Kai swallowed hard. Do we fight it?" Kael leaned forward, eyes locking with his crew. "No, we survive it. That's the difference." Lira exhaled slowly, feeling the chill of the unknown brush against her spine. The creature outside was more than instinct. It was intelligence, strategy, patience. They had underestimated it, or perhaps assumed humans were too soft, too fragile. The countdown began. Not on any screen, not on any clock, but in the pulse of their own hearts. 30 minutes. 30 minutes until the breach would force them to face the entity on its terms. A sudden jolt threw Kael against the console. Sparks flew. The shadow appeared again, closer now, moving along the hull like a storm incarnate. Its presence carried a soundless weight, a promise of annihilation. Lira gritted her teeth. "They think they're hunting prey. They're wrong." Kael brushed off the sparks, his grin widening despite the chaos. "Humans don't get hunted. We survive, and we dominate when we must." Somewhere deep in the darkness, the alien presence paused, calculating, waiting. But humans were chaos in motion, unpredictable, relentless. Lira whispered to herself. Almost a vow. They haven't seen anything yet. The countdown continued. The shadow advanced. And somewhere deep inside, every human aboard that ship felt it. The thrill of survival, the edge of death, and the certainty that their kind would never bow. The first strike was coming, and they would meet it. "Kael, it's moving faster." Lyra's voice cut through the low hum of the ship's systems. Her fingers trembled slightly over the scanner, though her posture was tight, controlled, human precision under stress. "Faster or smarter?" Kael asked, leaning over the console. Sparks from the earlier jolt still hissed in the air. "There's a difference. And we've faced smart before." The shadow outside didn't answer. It glided along the hull like liquid obsidian, a form constantly shifting, impossible to define. Its presence hummed in resonance with the ship's metal, a silent warning or perhaps a taunt. Kai, still clutching the edge of a railing, whispered, "It feels alive." Lira's golden eyes locked with his. "Alive? It's more than that. It thinks, and it's learning." "Then let it learn," Kael said, voice calm but sharp. "Because humans, we adapt faster." The ship's internal alarm stuttered, warning of hull stress. Every vibration was amplified. Lira's comm panel flickered with static, then stabilized. "We can't last 30 minutes like this," Kai muttered. "The hull won't hold." Lira's jaw tightened. "Then we make it hold. That's what humans do. We improvise." Kael stepped forward, motioning toward the storage bay. "Emergency shielding. We'll reroute power and reinforce the hull where it's weak." No one panics. "No one dies, not yet." The team moved in precise chaos. Lira rerouted the energy conduits while Kai handed her tools, and Kael monitored structural integrity. Every motion was deliberate, each second precious. Outside, the shadow paused as if watching. There was intelligence in its restraint. Calculation. Its form shimmered against the dim glow of the ship's external lights, revealing subtle textures like metal and flesh fused, alien yet eerily beautiful. "They think we're vulnerable," Lira said, her voice barely audible over the ship's groaning. "They don't know humans learn while they fight." Kael's grin was thin, but it burned with confidence. "Exactly. They'll think they've cornered us. But corners don't exist for humans." A sudden metallic screech tore through the hull. The shadow slammed against the reinforced glass of the docking bay. Sparks exploded and the crew was thrown back, hearts racing. Kai groaned, shaking off the impact. "It's strong. Stronger than anything we've seen." "Stronger doesn't mean smarter," Kael shot back. He reached for a hand tool and began tapping into the ship's core. "Humans survive because we think. And thinking beats strength every time." Lira adjusted her gloves, eyes flicking to the scanners. "It's not just strength. It's predicting us. Every move we make, it adapts." Kael chuckled, a low, defiant sound. "Then we change the game. Unpredictability is human currency," he signaled Lira. She understood. Together, they initiated a sequence to emit electromagnetic pulses along the hull, not to destroy, but to confuse. The shadow recoiled, a ripple moving through its form like liquid metal in shock. "Yes," Lira shouted. "It doesn't know what's happening." Kael laughed, loud and unrestrained, shaking off debris. "Humans are chaos incarnate. Predictable, we're prey. Unpredictable, we're predators." The shadow seemed to hesitate, its form flickering, fracturing against the sudden surge. But it adapted quickly, flowing around the interference like water, returning with renewed intensity. Kai swallowed hard. "It's learning again." "Good," Kael said, voice cold fire. "Let it learn. That's how it underestimates us next time." Humans survive by turning the impossible into routine. A low vibration thrummed beneath their feet. The shadow had begun striking the hull in patterns now, testing weaknesses, probing, relentless. Lira noted each impact, each pulse. Her mind raced, tracing algorithms, anticipating moves, predicting consequences. Humans thrived in mental chaos. "We're not just surviving," she muttered, almost to herself. "We're teaching it. Patience, caution, fear." The shadow paused again, almost silently, hovering near the docking bay viewport. Its form shimmered, revealing hints of a larger intelligence. Deliberate, calculating, and still fundamentally mistaken. "Humans were not prey." Kai's voice trembled. Do you think it'll leave?" Kael's gaze didn't waver from the viewport. "No, but leaving isn't survival. Surviving is winning when the storm hits, and that storm just met us." A sudden jolt rocked the ship, stronger than before. The lights flickered violently. The shadow lunged, testing, learning, relentless. Lira steadied herself against the console, heart hammering, adrenaline thrumming. Then a new sound echoed, a faint, high-pitched resonance that didn't belong to the ship. Lira's eyes widened. "It's communicating, or warning others." Kael's grin widened. "Then let it. Humans thrive on impossible odds. Let it bring everything it has. That's how legends are made." Outside, the shadow pulsed, forming patterns against the hull like a heartbeat. Inside, the crew held firm, hearts synced to the rhythm of survival. The countdown continued. Not on a clock, but in the tension of every breath, every thought. They had minutes, maybe seconds, before the first real strike, before the fight that would decide who dominated this void. And humans, Humans were ready. Lira whispered to herself, fierce and unyielding. Let's show them why Survival 101 never worked. Because humans don't just survive. We endure, we conquer. The ship shuddered again, this time a violent tremor that sent tools, cables, and even crew members skidding across the deck. Lira grabbed the nearest railing, teeth gritted, eyes blazing. Outside, the shadow pulsed against the hull, its liquid black form more defined, more threatening than before. Kael wiped a streak of grease from his forehead, smirking despite the chaos. They thought we'd panic. They thought survival would crack us. They don't know humans. Kai leaned against a console, voice shaky. It's changing. Every time we do something, it adapts faster. Good, Kael replied sharply. Let it. That's the mistake. Humans don't just survive, we evolve mid-battle. Lira's fingers flew over the scanner console, tracing pulses and readings in real time. It's scanning our system, predicting our shields, our reinforcements, even our movement patterns. Kael chuckled darkly. Then we become unpredictable. Humans don't just react. We anticipate, manipulate, and strike when they least expect it. The shadow seemed to sense something. Its form rippled violently, striking the hull with rhythmic force, testing, probing, relentless. The vibrations resonated through every metal panel, shaking the crew like a drumbeat of impending doom. Kai whispered, "We can't keep up forever." Lira shot him a sharp look. "We don't keep up, we lead. Humans take the impossible and turn it into a weapon." Kael nodded, pacing like a predator. "Exactly. Let's remind it who hunts whom." The crew moved with practiced precision. Lira rerouted energy to the outer shields, sacrificing non-essential systems to fortify the hull. Kai stabilized the conduits, keeping them from overloading, while Kael prepared an electromagnetic pulse to disrupt the shadow's adaptive sensors. A sudden jolt slammed the ship again, stronger than before. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and a faint metallic screech reverberated across the hull. The shadow hovered just beyond the viewport, pulsing like a heartbeat. It was learning too fast, thinking too fast, and yet it underestimated the humans inside. Lira swallowed, heart racing. "We're running out of time. Every pulse, every strike, it's wearing down the hull. 30 minutes, maybe less." Kael's grin sharpened. "Then we make those 30 minutes count. Humans don't fold under pressure. We break the rules instead." The shadow's form flickered suddenly, splitting into two shapes for a fraction of a second. Lira's eyes widened. "It's multiplying, or projecting illusions." Kael's jaw tightened. "Good. Let it spread. That means it's scared of us." The crew exchanged glances. Fear was there, but tempered by the fire of survival. They'd been trained for scenarios like this, but this was beyond training. This was instinct, courage, and a refusal to bow. A sudden shriek, metallic and echoing, pierced the hull. The viewport cracked in a jagged line. Sparks rained, and the vibration almost threw Kai to the floor. Lira grabbed his arm, steadying him. "We can't hold it," Kai shouted. "Yes, we can," Kael said, voice sharp, unyielding. "Humans don't give up, ever. Let it come. Let it try." The shadow recoiled slightly, sensing the shift in energy, the sudden pulse of human determination. It lashed out again, more violently, testing, striking, but each time met with calculated counters, hulls reinforced, energy redirected, shields pulsed with deliberate force. Lira's mind raced. "We need a plan that doesn't just defend. We need to force it to reveal itself, to make a mistake." Kael's grin widened. "Humans aren't just survivors. We are teachers. Let's teach it humility." He reached for a control panel and began rerouting power, preparing a trap. Lira traced his work, heart pounding with anticipation. Kai watched, wide-eyed but steady, the youngest of them learning what the others had long known. Survival wasn't just endurance. It was domination of circumstance. The shadow paused. Its form shimmered, almost pulsating with awareness, as if it could sense the trap forming. Lira felt a strange thrill, a rush of human audacity. They were alone in the void, facing an entity designed to annihilate them. And yet, They had the advantage of mind, of spirit, of unpredictability. Kael glanced at them. Brace yourselves. Whatever happens next, remember this. Survival isn't enough. Humans prevail. A sudden, violent strike slammed into the hull. Sparks flew. The ship groaned, panels buckling. But inside, the crew remained calm, focused, ready. The shadow had made its move, and now it would face theirs. Time was bleeding. Seconds were precious. Every heartbeat a drum of tension. And humans were about to turn the impossible into reality. Lira's whisper cut through the chaos. They thought Survival 101 would kill us, but they don't know humans. Outside, the shadow pulsed once more, massive and menacing. Inside, the crew braced and the first human counterstrike was about to ignite. The ship trembled, groaning as though it were alive, screaming under the pressure of the shadow's strikes. Sparks danced across the hull and reflected in the crew's eyes like distant lightning. Lira tightened her grip on the console, her knuckles white. Now, Kael barked, voice cutting through the chaos. Activate the trap. Full pulse. Make it think we're retreating. Lira's fingers flew over the controls, rerouting energy, priming the electromagnetic pulse. Her mind raced in patterns only humans could calculate, anticipating, improvising, turning danger into weapon. Kai watched, heart hammering, awe and terror colliding inside him. The shadow outside paused almost imperceptibly. Its liquid black form shimmered, flickering like a mirage. It was testing, waiting, calculating. Human survival instincts only fueled its curiosity, its arrogance. Kael smirked. Every species has a pattern. Humans break them. The pulse ignited. Electricity surged through the hull, a violent shimmer dancing across the viewport. The shadow recoiled, a ripple of confusion running through its form. Sparks shot outward as it writhed against the pulse, testing, struggling. Kai gasped. It's faltering. Yes, Lira shouted. Keep it off balance. Make it reveal itself. Kael strode across the deck like a predator, eyes alight. It thinks we're weak. It thinks we'll crumble. Humans don't crumble, we strike back. The shadow lashed out, thrashing against the hull with renewed fury. Panels buckled under the force, alarms screamed, and a low, resonant vibration filled the ship. But this time, the humans were ready. Lira guided the pulse, adjusting timing and frequency, feeding chaos into order. Every move was precise, every strike a calculated risk. The shadow froze, rippling strangely, as if uncertain. Then it did something unexpected. It split into multiple forms, smaller, faster, like fragments of liquid shadow testing their defenses. Shit, Kai muttered. It's good, Kael interrupted sharply. That means it's scared of us. Humans aren't prey, we're predators when pushed. Lira's eyes widened as she realized the opportunity. We can lure it, force it into a kill zone near the energy conduit. One wrong move, it overloads itself. Kael nodded. Exactly. Humans survive by exploiting mistakes. Let's teach it humility. The crew worked in synchronicity, moving with a precision born of instinct and calculation. Kai guided auxiliary shields, rerouting energy, while Lira manipulated the pulse frequencies. Kael controlled the lure, drawing the shadow toward the exposed conduit. Outside, the shadow hesitated, then advanced, probing, testing, relentless. Its liquid form shimmered, flickering unpredictably. But humans had learned one thing: unpredictability was their weapon. A sudden crash rocked the deck as the shadow struck near the conduit. Sparks exploded in blinding flashes. The ship groaned. Kai stumbled, brushing off debris. Hold it, Lira yelled. One more pulse. Kael slammed his hand down and the final pulse ignited. The shadow shrieked, a soundless scream vibrating through the hull. Its forms fractured, flickering in chaos as the overload surged. For a heartbeat, silence. The viewport shimmered with residual energy, the shadow's forms writhing, disoriented. The ship rocked violently, warning lights screaming, systems straining. "Status?" Kael demanded. Lira's fingers flew, confirming systems holding. Hull integrity barely stable, but it worked. It staggered, confused. Kai exhaled shakily. It's retreating?" Kyle's grin was sharp and wild. "Not retreating. Learning. Humans don't just survive, Kai. We teach. And right now, we taught it a lesson it won't forget." Lira studied the viewport. The shadow was still there, flickering, fragmented, but clearly reacting to their actions. Intelligence was at work, probing again, hesitant. Kai shivered. We almost didn't make it." Kyle's gaze softened slightly, but his voice remained sharp. "Almost doesn't matter. Humans make it. Every time. That's the difference." Outside, the shadow paused, pulsing slowly, as if reconsidering the rules of engagement. Humans had shown it chaos, precision, and defiance. It was no longer hunting. It was learning. Lira leaned back, breathing hard, eyes still locked on the hull. "We can't stop here. It will come back. Smarter. Faster." Kael's grin widened. "Then we'll be ready. Humans thrive on challenges. The harder the fight, the sharper we become." Kai swallowed, glancing at the viewport. I think I understand now. Humans survive because we don't just endure. We dominate." The shadow pulsed once more, massive and silent, then receded slightly, holding its distance. But the message was clear. This battle was far from over. Kael's eyes gleamed. "Time to prepare for round 2. They thought Survival 101 would kill us. They were wrong. Dead wrong." Lira exhaled slowly. "Then let them learn. The hard way." And somewhere deep in the void, beyond the viewport, the shadow watched, thinking, calculating, underestimating the humans once again. But humans weren't just surviving. They were teaching the void what it meant to be unstoppable. The ship's hull groaned again, a low, metallic cry that shook the crew to their core. Sparks rained across the deck as emergency lights flickered, bathing the corridors in red. Outside, the shadow pulsed against the viewport, larger, more deliberate, and impossibly intelligent. It had learned from their last attack, and now it was hunting differently. Kael's jaw tightened. It adapted, faster than we expected. But that's fine. Humans always adapt faster. Lira wiped sweat from her brow, scanning the hull sensors. It's probing for weaknesses. Every breach, every strain. If it finds one, the ship goes. We don't let it. Kael finished for her, voice low and firm. Humans don't let things kill us. We turn the tables every time. A sudden jolt threw Kai against the railing. It's stronger this time. It's pushing us. Yes, Kael said, eyes glinting with a dangerous light. And we push back. Humans don't fold. We fight smarter, faster, harder. The crew moved with frantic precision. Lira rerouted energy through secondary shields, diverting power from non-essential systems. Sparks hissed around her, the smell of burning circuits filling the air. Kai stabilized conduits with trembling hands, but the fear in his chest was tempered by exhilaration. A human trait Kael knew well. Terror sharpened focus. Outside, the shadow twisted and split again, moving in unpredictable bursts. Its liquid black form lashed against the hull like a living storm. Kael's grin widened. Beautiful. It thinks chaos will overwhelm us. That's when humans shine. Lira's fingers flew over the controls, running simulations in seconds. If we can redirect the hull's vibrations, we can throw it off balance. Make it strike itself. Kael nodded sharply. Do it. Humans survive because we create opportunities in disaster. The ship vibrated violently as the shadow attacked again. Sparks flew from the hull. Panels bent. Alarms screamed. Lira's plan began to work. The energy reroute sent the vibrations back outward, and the shadow hesitated, momentarily destabilized. Kai stared at the viewport. It's freaking out. Kael's grin widened. Good. Fear is universal. Humans don't need to feel it to wield it. We survive through it. But even as the humans executed their countermeasures, cracks appeared, not just in the ship, but in themselves. Tension surged. Exhaustion pressed down like iron chains. Every strike of the shadow tested more than metal. It tested their resolve, their patience, and the thin threads holding them together. Kai whispered, almost to himself, "What if we don't make it next time?" Lira's eyes softened briefly, but her voice was iron. "We will. Humans don't give up. Not ever. And if we have to, we'll make them regret underestimating us." Kael's hand rested on the console, steady despite the chaos. "Humans survive because we think. While others strike, we calculate. While others flee, we plan. While others die, we endure." The shadow struck again, massive and unrelenting. The hull shuddered violently. Lira adjusted the pulse frequency, redirecting energy to the weakest panels. Sparks flew like fireworks. The shadow froze, fractured, then retreated slightly, testing, calculating again. Kael turned to the crew, eyes blazing. "We're not just holding it, we're training it, teaching it humility. Humans dominate because we refuse to bow." Outside, the shadow pulsed with intelligence, flickering like fractured glass. But inside, the humans were more than steel and circuits. They were ingenuity, courage, and unbreakable spirit. Lira whispered to herself as she manipulated the controls. Every strike it makes, every probe it sends, it's learning too late. "Humans survive because we adapt instantly." Kai's hands shook, but he didn't falter. It's backing off. Just a little." Kael smirked, voice low and fierce. "Not backing off, calculating. But that gives us the opening we need." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the engine bay. The shadow had breached the outer hull, forcing localized decompression. Alarms screamed. Emergency lights blinked red, casting long, trembling shadows across the walls. "Damage report," Kael demanded. Lira's hands flew over the console. "Partial hull breach. Minor depressurization. Containment field is holding, but it won't last long." Kai's voice trembled. We're running out of time." Kael's grin was dangerous. "Time is our tool. Humans don't panic. We create moments in crisis. And right now, we strike." He motioned toward the conduit they had rigged during the last pulse. "It thinks it's winning. It thinks it's the predator. Let's remind it who hunts who." Lira nodded. Her fingers flew, activating the conduit trap. Sparks danced, energy hummed, and the shadow recoiled instinctively, drawn to the trap. Its massive form twisted violently against the hull, testing, striking, but every move played into human hands. Kai swallowed hard. It's trapped." Kael's grin widened, fierce and unyielding. "Humans survive because we don't just endure. We dominate. And tonight, we're showing the void why." Outside, the shadow thrashed, pulsed, and faltered. Inside, the humans held firm, hearts synchronized, minds sharp, spirits unbreakable. And somewhere deep in the void, beyond the shattered viewport, a lesson was being learned. Humans were not prey. Humans survived. Humans conquered. The ship trembled. Violently, panels buckling under the relentless assault. Sparks hissed across the deck, the air thick with smoke and charged energy. Outside, the shadow had grown, its liquid black form pulsing like a storm alive with thought, intelligence far beyond instinct. It had learned from every encounter. It had adapted, and now it pressed harder, faster, smarter. Kael slammed his fist against the console, eyes blazing. "They think adaptation will kill us. Humans always adapt faster." Lira's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and precise. "Kael, it's probing for the conduit again. If it hit the hull, then we force it," Kael interrupted, jaw tight. "Humans don't just survive, Lira. We dominate. And it's about to learn the hard way." Kai clutched a railing, face pale, heart hammering. It's overwhelming us. How do we fight something that thinks faster than we can?" Kael smiled, sharp and fearless. Because humans don't just fight. We improvise, we strategize, we turn chaos into advantage. The shadow struck again, immense and precise. The hull groaned, lights flickered, and the deck shook violently. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The crew scrambled, dodging debris, recalibrating shields, stabilizing conduits. Lira's fingers flew over the controls, energy crackling at her fingertips. We need a full-spectrum pulse, one that doesn't just disrupt, it overwhelms. It has to see the limits of its own adaptability. Kael's grin widened. Finally. Humans don't just endure the storm. We become it. The ship's systems hummed with concentrated energy. Lira routed every reserve power source to the conduits. Kai stabilized the energy flow, hands trembling but precise. Every second stretched, heartbeats synchronized with the pulsing threat outside. The shadow hesitated, sensing the buildup. Its liquid form shimmered, fracturing, splitting, flickering. Intelligence weighed the cost, calculating, but humans were faster. Humans were unpredictable. Kael leaned close to the viewport, eyes locked on the darkness outside. It thinks it can teach us fear. Let's show it courage. Let's show it humanity. The pulse ignited. Electricity surged across the hull, a violent shimmer reflecting in the viewport. The shadow shrieked, soundless yet resonating through metal and bone. Its forms fractured, lightning-like arcs coursing through them. For the first time it recoiled. For the first time it hesitated. Kai gasped. It's faltering. Yes, Lira said, voice sharp and cold. Hold it. Push it. Humans survive by creating opportunity in crisis. The shadow writhed, testing the pulse, striking at the hull, but the energy flows redirected, feeding its own assault into destabilizing feedback. Sparks flew, metal groaned, and the ship trembled. But humans had mastered the rhythm. Every strike was anticipated. Every move exploited. Kael's grin was predatory. We don't just endure, we force outcomes. Humans dominate chaos, Kai. Always. Outside, the shadow split into dozens of smaller projections, each striking independently, probing independently, but all falling into the trap. Energy pulsed outward, surging through the hull, fracturing the shadow's forms. Kai shouted, voice raw, exhilarated, terrified. It's breaking apart. Yes, Kael replied, eyes fierce, unwavering. Humans survive because we don't wait for the impossible, we create it, and tonight we're writing history. The ship shuddered violently one final time as the pulse surged through the conduits. Sparks exploded like fireworks across the deck. Alarms screamed. The viewport glowed with fractured light. The shadow shrieked, convulsed, then retreated, fragmented, faltering, forced to reconsider every assumption about these humans. Lira leaned heavily on the console, breath ragged. It's holding back. For now. Kael's grin softened, but only slightly. Not retreating. Learning. Humans survive because we make our enemies learn their place. Kai looked around, awe and disbelief in his eyes. We did it. No, Kael said, voice calm but filled with fire. We're not done. Humans survive because we never stop. We endure, we adapt, we dominate. And the shadow, it's only beginning to understand that. Outside, the darkness shimmered, pulsing faintly, fractured, but far from defeated. Inside, the crew held firm, hearts racing, minds sharpened, spirits unbroken. Kael's eyes swept the deck. They thought Survival 101 would kill us. They were wrong. Dead wrong. Humans aren't just survivors. Humans prevail. Always. Lira whispered to herself, fierce, resolute, exhausted. They haven't seen anything yet. And somewhere, in the void beyond the shattered hull, the shadow paused, thinking, calculating, underestimating humans once more. But humans had already rewritten the rules. The ship hung in the void, battered but unbroken. Sparks danced across the deck, mingling with smoke, casting flickering shadows over the crew's exhausted faces. Outside, the shadow pulsed, massive, intelligent, relentless. But something had shifted. The humans inside had forced it to learn the hard truth. Underestimating them was fatal. Kael's eyes swept the viewport, taking in the fractured form of the alien presence. It thinks it survived, that it's still in control. Let's remind it exactly who it's dealing with. Lira's fingers flew over the control panel, rerouting energy to the final pulse. Every ounce of power, every calculated risk, funneled into one decisive strike. Her mind moved faster than the shadow could predict, every calculation precise, every second lethal. Kai leaned over, pale and trembling, yet resolute. Are we ready? Kael's grin was sharp, almost feral. Humans are always ready. Ready to survive, ready to adapt, ready to dominate. Hold on tight. The shadow struck, faster, harder, more unpredictable than ever. The ship shuddered violently, alarms screamed, and sparks rained across the deck. Panels buckled under the pressure. Lira's pulse countered it, surging through the hull, bending energy into an unpredictable storm. Outside, the shadow fractured, convulsed, and hesitated for the first time. Its liquid black forms, once flawless and fluid, shimmered, fragmented, unsure. It had learned fear, the kind humans never felt but wielded. Kael leaned forward, voice low and fierce. Humans survive because we don't just endure chaos. We become chaos. And tonight, chaos bows to us. The final pulse ignited. Energy cascaded across the hull in violent arcs. Sparks erupted, lights flickered, and the viewport glowed with fractured brilliance. The shadow shrieked, a soundless roar that vibrated through the ship, echoing through metal and mind. Kai gasped. It's breaking. Yes, Lira shouted, voice sharp and triumphant. Hold it. Don't give it a chance to recover. The shadow writhed, striking one last time, desperate, powerful, but humans had already mastered the rhythm. Every strike was anticipated, every move exploited, every fragment controlled. It had underestimated the chaos, the ingenuity, the relentless spirit of humanity. Kael's eyes blazed with unyielding fire. Humans don't just survive. We endure, we adapt, we conquer, and today, we prove it. With a final surge, the shadow fractured completely, retreating into the void. Disoriented, beaten, not by brute force but by human brilliance, unpredictability, and unshakable will. The ship groaned, systems straining, but inside the crew stood unbroken. Sweat, blood, and sparks coated their faces, but their eyes shone with exhilaration and triumph. Kai slumped against the railing, voice trembling. We did it. We actually did it. Lira exhaled, leaning on the console, heart still racing. We survived, and then some. It learned the hard way what humans are. Kael's gaze swept over them, fierce and proud. Humans were never meant to be prey. We survive because we refuse to bow. And we prevail because we never stop thinking, never stop moving, never stop dominating. Outside, the void was silent, stars shimmering coldly. Somewhere the shadow floated, shattered and wiser, a witness to a species it had underestimated, and somewhere, humanity's legend had etched itself into the cosmos. Lira turned to Kael. Do you think it'll ever come back? Kael's grin was sharp, unshaken. It might, but it won't win. Not ever. Humans survive. Humans endure. Humans dominate. That's our legacy. Kai smiled, finally understanding. It didn't break us. It made us stronger. Kael's gaze returned to the viewport, eyes alight with fire. Stronger, faster, smarter. Humans were never meant to bow, and the universe will learn that sooner or later. The ship floated through the void, battered but undefeated, a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and relentless spirit. The stars beyond flickered, indifferent yet silent witnesses, and deep in the void a lesson lingered. Survival 101 had failed. Humanity had rewritten the rules. They had survived. They had endured. and they had triumphed. The crew stood together, hearts synchronized, minds sharpened, spirits unbroken. They were human. And nothing, not darkness, not fear, not impossible odds, could ever change that. Kael whispered, almost to himself, but loud enough for the crew to hear. They thought we'd die. They were wrong. Humans always win. And in that silence, heavy with stars and unspoken promise, humanity's spirit shone brighter than any weapon, stronger than any threat, unbroken, eternal.